Sorry, that was very loud. Hopefully everyone heard that. Okay, so great. Awesome, everyone. Super glad to have everyone joining our May 30th JuliaHealth monthly meeting. Like I said, it has been I think we didn't meet in April just because I knew that was, for me, a very busy time with finals, and I wasn't able to organize this meeting, and I know everyone else has been a little busy, so I'm glad we're able to meet this month and catch up on a lot of things, because we have a lot of things going on, really anywhere from Google Summer of Code kicking off to just various ongoing opportunities and projects within the Julia Health ecosystem. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and jump right to our agenda for the day. We have a lot to cover, so I am pretty excited. So let me go ahead. I will share my screen here, and we can dive right into everything that we want to discuss. The first thing, as always, I do want to take a moment to pause here to say if there are any new attendees or any new folks in the Julia Health meeting for the first time, please feel free to introduce yourselves. If you don't want to, no pressure. I just wanted to reserve this time in case if you wanted to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your background and what brought you here today. So I'll pause, and if anyone wants to introduce themselves as a new attendee, feel free to do so.
Sure. Thank you, Jacob. I can introduce myself. I'm Monica. I'm a data engineer at Brown Center for Biomedical Informatics. And I recently got in I've been in touch with Jacob since the last JuliaCon. But recently I started GSoC co-mentoring, like kind of uh, with Jacob and Jay. So uh, that's how I came to know about this community called Julia Health Community Call, and I'm happy to be here and see how I can contribute to the Julia Health. Thank you.
Awesome. Welcome. And it's so great to have you involved with GSoC. I'm super excited. All right. I think that might be it for introductions for new attendees. We can go ahead and jump into talking about our kind of next topic that I wanted to reserve, which was talking about some new contributors in the Julia Health ecosystem that I've been made aware of through various means. There's two folks that I just wanted to kind of highlight and say thank you for participating within Julia Health, and that is Sneha and Guillermo. They're, to my understanding, helping most directly with the documentation revitalization project. I'll be talking a bit more about what that project is very, very shortly. It's also really spearheaded by Dr. Jacob Matura, which I'm thrilled to have you here today, Jacob. It's really focused on the documentation within the Julia Health ecosystem, as well as some organizational and structural ordering of how we might want to do documentation, and really providing on-ramps to students, or not even just students, but users of the Julia Health ecosystem in the future. You might not see their contributions necessarily in terms of code, but you will feel their contributions in terms of hopefully making the Julia Health ecosystem much more accessible, as this project, their work will be spanning the entire Julia Health ecosystem, and with an additional focus on particularly the medical imaging sub-ecosystem. So just wanted to say a huge thank you there. So going to the Julia Health news, like what's new in Julia Health? Well, there's a lot of things. So there's a few things that I want to particularly highlight, which is the documentation revitalization project, which I mentioned, and also JuliaCon. So, I mentioned this project, and this project has been a little bit nebulous as it emerged from our original proposal for Google's season of Docs. As some of you are probably aware, we did make a submission for Google Summer of Docs this year. Unfortunately, that proposal was not selected by Google for funding this year. But through a kind of fortuitous series of events, folks still want to be working on this project and still contributing within the original proposal. And I will show that proposal in just a moment here. And this is dedicated towards, like I mentioned, renewing documentation across the entire ecosystem. And it is a open, rolling sort of program or project where folks can join from any skill level. This actually might be one of the more fantastic opportunities for new folks to join projects within JuliaHealth. As one, it'll help you get more exposure to what's going on in JuliaHealth. Two, the different sorts of projects involved in JuliaHealth. And three, if you've not programmed before or have very little programming experience, this project might be for you, as it's more focused on documentation, writing tutorials, and taking a very broad overview of how we can provide easier on-ramps to newcomers to the JuliaHealth ecosystem. So if any of that sounds like you, feel free to let me know in the JuliaHealth Slack, or any of the other folks in the JuliaHealth ecosystem. Now, I just wanted to, like I mentioned, highlight this particular proposal and as well as this project. So let me I'll show right now the publicly available JuliaHealth documentation overhaul. Like, I'll rename this to the revitalization project sometime in the future. Right now, we have a variety of different issues opened up, as well as assigned to different folks throughout the community. So for example, one of the moves that we're trying to make is migrating the core JuliaHealth website to maybe something like Documenter or Documenter BytePress, taking inspiration from SciML. And so if you click any of these issues, you'll see a issue description about what this project or what this issue is doing, how you can tackle it, what are the requirements for it, and what are the expected outcomes. So the goal will be going from documentation that looks something like this to something that's a bit more organized that looks like this from the SciML ecosystem. All these issues should also have documentation about if you've never contributed before to JuliaHealth or don't know some of the tools that are being used with particular issues, you can click on these issues and there should be sections talking about here's how to do it, here's some resources that will help you along the way, and here's how to get involved. And if any of that, again, like I mentioned, sounds interesting, please do let us know in the JuliaHealth ecosystem. I'll go ahead and share this maybe in the Zoom call right now. So if anyone wants to take a look at this, feel free to do so. Let me go ahead and message this. Here we are. All right. So just wanted to mention that. Also wanted to give a thank you also to Dr. Jacob Matura, as well as Carlos Pasi, who's I think also in the call, as they've been really the ones spearheading some of this documentation revitalization. I'm just happy to be a conduit to be making this happen. Maybe I'll pause for just a second. Jacob, as well as Carlos, do you want to comment any at all on the documentation work? If not, no worries. Just want to take a second to pause in case if you want to share anything extra.
I think you had, from my perspective at least, I think you had covered what needed to be said. Yeah, so of course, apart from Jacob and Julia's Slack help for another mean, you can also get to me if you want to get about docs. Yeah, just like this, to contact.
Awesome. All right. All right.
From my part,
we can
I just wanted to say that I've been trying the documenter BytePress, and I've been having fun translating my documentation to BytePress, and it's looking great. But I had some issues, but maybe I'll just talk with Jacob later.
Yeah. Also, hopefully, I'm going to give a shout out real quick to Jason J, who's one of our Google Summer of Code contributors. He also just helped with putting a new tutorial on Documenter BytePress of how to get started migrating from Documenter to Documenter BytePress. So let me see, Jay, if you're in the call, if you could share that maybe in the chat, that'd be awesome. I don't know if you've seen that yet, though, Carlos.
Yeah, I can share it.
I think
Okay.
I used that one actually.
Oh, awesome.
So it works.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Well, that's fantastic. For sake of time, I want to move to the next kind of what's new in Julia Health. So the next little announcement I wanted to make is about JuliaCon 2024. So, woo, JuliaCon is happening, and it's happening very soon. It's starting July, I believe, 9th is the first day that workshops are starting. Maybe it's July 8th. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's July 9th, though. Tickets are on sale right now, and it's taking place in Eindhoven, Netherlands. So if you're going to be in Europe this summer, near to Eindhoven, feel free to come through. There will be over 150 speakers, and for the first time ever, JuliaCon is actually being held in a massive soccer stadium right within the Netherlands. It's called Philips Stadion, and I guess keynote speakers are going to be giving keynotes directly from the football pitch, which is pretty crazy. So if you're able to join that'll be great. I will actually be there at JuliaCon this year. I'll be helping to run some of the diversity, equity, and inclusion events, which will be taking place, as well as just floating around, helping with some other things going on at the conference. So if you see me, grab me, let's talk. So again, JuliaCon 2024. Woo! Make sure to try to come. So yeah, with that being said, I just want to double check. Krishna, do you happen to be in the call right now? Let's see.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Krishna, I'll have you present on iPod, like your talk after this little announcement here that I want to make. And then we can go from there. So great. So with that being said, something that I have been very happy to advertise as well as finally share now is that through some work with the mathematics department at Northeastern University, which is my home institute right now, so yeah, go Huskies. We are now currently able to and are looking for student research projects that can come from the Julia Health community and even the broader Julia community for student teams at Northeastern University's mathematics department to actively work on. Most of these students are going to be graduate students focused. They'll either be graduate students or advanced undergraduate students from a mathematics background, maybe some CS background, maybe even some engineers potentially working on these projects. And so right now, I'm actively soliciting from the Julia Health community as well as the Julia community writ large for different sorts of student projects that they could potentially work on in these student teams. These projects, just to give some more overview, tend to be more focused on data analysis through working with Professor Hei Wang, who is one of the graduate directors. He's very interested in having novel sorts of data sets that he's not very familiar with be used for these sort of analysis projects. And then he's also very keen on wanting to see projects that take utilization of these data sets and maybe answer some really interesting research questions or questions about the data. Implementations, like novel implementations of different algorithms by student teams can be done. Just bear in mind, most of these students may not be the most proficient programmers, as these courses really aren't focused on the software development side, as they are more on the like using an algorithm or using a tool to answer some question. So projects within both Python and Julia are highly welcome. So just wanted to talk a little bit more about that, and I have a moment to talk about some of the questions that might be arising from this project or this program in just a moment. So let me first finish up with these next couple slides, and then we can talk about any questions that folks may have. But an overview of what these projects really need, there's actually not much to it, which is pretty both exciting as well as like puts a lot of emphasis on making sure you frame the question correctly. So you need a project proposal, and you also need the list of data sources that you'll work with. So like the project proposal should enumerate what you're trying to solve, and the data sources should be active and openly available to the student, or if they're not openly available, they could be made openly available to the student. You as a mentor, this can be a very sort of laissez-faire or hands-off sort of mentorship experience with these teams. It can be very hands-on if you want to be with the students quite a lot, or it could be very hands-off where maybe you just meet with the student teams once or twice throughout the semester. It's up to you on the mentorship cadence that you want. Because again, these students are taking classes, and these projects will be most likely their final projects for these classes as a sort of capstone to that class. Just to give an example of some of the past projects students have worked on, let me jump over here to the discourse post. If you haven't seen this yet, I'll share this in the Zoom room in just a second. But some example projects in the past is one related to brain image segmentation. This is from a this is from a researcher focused on healthcare over, I guess, in New Jersey. And so here you can see that there's deliverables, there are descriptions. This one is actually from a company. So this company project provided actual de-identified brain imaging data for the students to work on. Again, here's the description, the deliverables. And if you want to see more information about this, here is the link to that in the chat. Now, coming back over here. With that being said, these projects, can really be, you can get out of them what you put into them and how you scope them. So some potential example projects, I think I took one from Dr. Jacob Matura at one point, which is like, effectively altering drug dosage amounts for treatment. This could be related to optimization or prediction problems. What is the care trajectory of patients with chronic disease? This is something that I'm researching, which could be framed very much as like a mathematical modeling, differential equations sort of approach. And then how to use multimodal data to drive patient health insights. This could be like a deep learning sort of approach that students all will be studying as well as having access to working on. And so with that being said, I will pause here if anyone has any questions, suggestions about this program. Like I said, I'm actively looking for projects that students could work on as well as mentors. Yeah, so I'll pause here. I'm very excited to present this opportunity to the JuliaHealth ecosystem. So I'll go ahead and pause, and if anyone has any questions, I'd love to hear it.
Okay, maybe I will ask. I will ask two things.
Yeah.
First, how many teams of students do you consider? There, I mean, there are, I don't know, 3 teams per year or 30 teams per year? Or how many projects do you think there would be?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent question. So it really depends on how many, this is kind of not a great answer, but it really depends on how many students are taking the courses where these sort of project experiences will be provided. So actually, this works through a program at Northeastern called the Experiential Network Program, which is where we'll submit and develop a proposal together at. And what I was going to say is some of these courses are like the Machine Learning 1, Machine Learning 2, Linear Algebra and Optimization courses. So there's like 3 courses that I can think of off the top of my head at Northeastern that brings projects in from this program. And I know for a fact, like in, for example, Machine Learning 1, there was about 8 to 10 teams this past semester. How that might fluctuate depending on students next semester, I don't really know. But I think there's a safe ballpark to say each student team or each class that is ongoing probably will have about, I'd say, between 5 to 10 teams potentially. So looking at the different courses right now that I know of that take these projects in, there could be anywhere from 15 to maybe at most 25 or 30 projects.
Okay, good. So this is one thing that I want to know. Second thing is about publications. Generally, this project, in the end, when ready, is the part of, as far as I understand, this capstone for the students to pass the subject. Yes, and in case of mentorship, are the teacher basically of the subject and the students. Would be any publications possible from this later?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I can double check with Hey Wang from Northeastern, but I do not see why not. That wouldn't be fine to do. In fact, in conversations that I've had with Professor Wang, how I've like how we've discussed is like some of these projects, like at Northeastern especially, there's actually like an annual research conference that they host for projects like this. So I know for a fact right now that's already encouraged that students submit these research sort of projects to like this local Northeastern conference, and I know that they would be very thrilled to see like potential work from this spawning into something even bigger than like just a local poster conference. So I can double check with you, but I can double check for you, but I don't see why not. This would be a problem, and absolutely giving credit to the students, I think that would be fantastic, and just would help not only the mentors getting something out of this, but also the students getting something out of this beyond just learning the material.
And I wanted to
Okay, of
ask a
course.
question further. Okay. Well, this opportunity is specifically for graduate students taking mathematical courses within JuliaHealth community, right?
So it is mathematics students, but there's also in some of these courses can be a mix of students. They can be students from maybe more of like a data science program. I've even met students who are from like financial background. So
okay, but
yeah,
but at
I'd say the
graduate level.
majority is mathematics.
Okay, thanks for that.
Yeah.
Okay, and I see that also Carlos ask about how many people per team.
Yeah, so that's again just another function of how many students are in these courses. Like I've seen projects that are big as just like maybe like 2 or 3 students per project, but I've also seen projects that have as large as like 6 or 7 people per project. So it really can vary. I'll also mention, kind of in the similar vein, that these students, what was I going to say? These students, the projects that the students are working on, multiple teams can work on the same project. I know that might be a little tricky if you're mentoring students. So, maybe we could discuss that with Professor Wong. But at the same time, if that is interesting, you can actually have several, like 1 or 2 student teams working on the same project if they're interested in, if multiple groups are interested in the same project.
I have another question. What's the output that is expected from the students? Like each team, I assume they do a presentation showing results, but do they need to write a report that could potentially go to a paper?
Yeah.
Or just theory, or they need to do code?
Yeah, so it's actually all 3. And what I mean by all 3 is, yes, there'll be a final presentation for most of these courses. There'll be a final report for these courses. And there should be code for these courses. And so, my hope is that any 3 of those, hopefully all 3, but maybe just 1 to 3 of those outputs can be used as like starting points or jump off points for maybe future work in the by the researcher or by student teams in the future. So for those outputs, there should be code, there should be a final report, and there should be a final presentation showing results.
Okay, that sounds great. I think I have a few ideas. So what's the procedure to suggest projects, or how would that work?
Yeah, so right now, there is kind of like 2 or 3 different avenues you can take. first one, you can Slack me over the Julia Slack just with these ideas. And what I'm doing right now is I'm collecting some of these ideas. I know I've been in discussion with some other folks in the Julia ecosystem about ideas right now. So go ahead and reach out to me with some ideas. I'll be talking to Professor Wang about, what do we need to do to refine these ideas, taking them from, here's the ideas that I have. What are the courses that make sense for them? Is anything else needed by Northeastern to bring these into the courses? And then from there, in theory, everything should be fine. So the immediate next step is to reach out to me through Slack. You can reach out to me through Discourse, or you can also reach out to me through my email, which I can share in the Zoom chat. So I know we're about half an hour mark right now. So I think that's it for questions right now. If anyone else in the chat right now does have questions, please follow up in the JuliaHealth Slack channel. Otherwise, I'm super thrilled to be able to bring this to everyone here in the JuliaHealth community. So great questions. I'll go ahead and say we'll follow up with this over the Health and Medicine Slack channel. So thank you everyone so much. And with that being said, I want to move to our next agenda item, which is Krishna. I know that you are planning to give a presentation today. So Krishna, I will turn it over to you. I might need to first give you permission to present.
Great. Yeah, and stay on standby because sometimes the Zoom drivers for Linux can be kind of flaky. So if for whatever reason I try to share my screen and it doesn't work, I might need you to help run the slides. But okay, here goes nothing. Let's see. Okay.
All right. Just let you know, Krishna, you should have access to share. Okay, great. We can see your screen.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, hi. I'm Krishna. I'm here my background's in statistics and machine learning. I'm over here in Los Angeles. I work with people at UCLA. Some of you may know me from Slack channels. I'm at Krishna B. But I wanted to talk about this new project we're working on called Ipums JL. Ipums stands for, it used to stand for the individual public use microdata for the census. That was what most people know it as, but it's actually, this is kind of new to me too, but it's actually expanded beyond just those data sets. So it's actually quite interesting. So let me just go over what I'm going to talk about here. Oh yeah, Jacob, how much time do I have too? I wanted to make sure I didn't.
Yeah, we are running a little over with some of the schedules. So maybe is 5 minutes all right, Krishna? My apologies.
Should be fine. Yep.
Okay.
So awesome. 9:41. Okay. So I'll go over what is Ipums just very briefly. Then what can Ipums JL add to the community, both to the academic community who uses Ipums data, as well as the Julia community. Then we'll talk about how far along are we, and then just some questions. Okay, so what is Ipums? Now, most people understand Ipums as, like I said, public use microdata. So it used to be census centered. U.S. Census, collected every 10 years, but then there are multiple, census products that are collected. Some of them yearly, some of them biannually, whatever. So that was that would be the Ipums USA data, which collects data from at multiple resolutions, state level, county level, city level, census tract level, data for various variables. But within the Ipums sort of structure now, they have included a number of both U.S. as well as international data sets on a variety of topics, which is really exciting. So CPS is the current population survey. That's something that's usually mostly economic statistics. But now the global health Ipums, it contains the disposable household surveys. If anyone's familiar with working with those data sets, that's historical or longitudinal data for, like 100 and some countries, like going back to like some of them I think are as old as like the 1950s till present. So that's a really exciting resource. There's the NHGIS data sets, which are like basically spatially resolved US Census data. There's higher ed statistics data. There's the IHGIS. Some of this is like agricultural data for, for places across the world. So there's a lot of data sets. What they've done is they've sort of, if you've ever worked with any of these data sets, it's very hard to learn, how to access the data, how to pull the data, how to work with the data. So what they've done is kind of created a uniform interface for users from a variety of disciplines to actually access, pull the data, and then, understand it, understand how it's coded, how the variables are defined, some of those things. And so that's why it's a collection of global data sets now with standardized curation, uniform metadata specification, and support. So what can Julia contribute to the Ipums community? So right now there are two Ipums packages. One is Ipums R, which is probably the most developed, which allows users to sort of, go set up their downloads, pull the data, load it into R. Similarly, there's Ipums Pi, which pulls it into Python. Now, with a Julia package, why would we want a Julia package? Well, of course, like having a Julia package lets us pull the data into Julia fast and lets users access all of the cool stuff within Julia, right? These data sets can be large, so like processing them in R, is just going to be a nightmare. Processing them in Python, maybe a little bit less so, but Julia can do things on average a lot faster than these other languages. So what can Julia contribute to the Ipums community? So if we imagine that like, our package will sort of be the entry point, pulling data into Julia, then using data frames JL, we can, we can run summaries of the data, we can process the data, but then we can set up outputs to like Makey JL or like GeoMakey, which is I think what Anshul works on, and or at least he works on all of the stuff that happens along this red line. There's Agents JL, which is like database model, which is agent-based modeling, Plots JL, Graphs JL. So like once you have access to the data, then you can actually connect it to all of these other Julia sort of packaging ecosystems, which let you run interesting analyses, right? And there's also a question of what can Ipums contribute back to the Julia community? So having access to Ipums, what does that give to people who are developing stuff within Julia, right? And that's an interesting question because there are a lot of areas within Julia that are developed, and then there's some areas within Julia that are less developed. So like the Julia Stats organization, it has been working to sort of, like develop more and more of its packages, right? Because everyone uses R for a lot of statistics things. So, and because Julia can interoperate with R, like there hasn't been as much development in the Julia Stats organization, but if you have access to more and more data sets easily, then that can hopefully prompt some more advance in the Julia Stats organization. SciML is pretty far along Flux in the machine learning packages. All of these can benefit from having access to all of the data coming in from Ipums, right? So hopefully that can prompt some more development within those ecosystems, even the geospatial packages. And there's some there ones that I'm not mentioning too, probably like the Graphs JL, like there are a bunch of places where the access to this data can then give like the developers of those packages a chance to sort of test and develop and calibrate and improve their own packages. Current development, we started development in late April, so it's only been about a month. The beginning was mostly about just understanding the specifications of the metadata, right? Like, because all of the information about what each variable means, like how it's encoded in the data sets, any sort of messages or any of those types of things. They're all contained in XML files, and we had to sort of first understand how to parse all of that good stuff and then start loading the functions and then start loading the data. So we've established some basic functionality for downloading and pre-processing data files. Jacob has done some good work on automating the downloads. I've been working more on the parsing and the loading of the data files. Continuing work on processing complicated metadata and spatial file types. So, you know, there's a lot of work continuing on, like, say, you know, how to load some of the data fast, and how to load spatial data files. And then we have our newest member is Michaela. She's going to be working on documentation. Oh, and we need a logo. Okay, and that's about it. So any questions?
Hey, we might only have time for like one question, so I'll let, if anyone has a question, I'll let them ask now.
I have a question. Is it like somewhat related to Julia Hub, the scientific, I believe, parallel computing platform there is?
It wouldn't be so much Julia Hub, because Julia Hub is like, yeah, right. Like that's like a suite of sort of packages or technologies to sort of allow sort of a lot of like simulation-based architectures, and then they'll have like, you know, like a lot of work on to calibrate those models to data. So what this would be is like, it's a source of data, right? So if you want to calibrate your model, you know, say you have a model on like, you know, community health, or like income inequality, or, you know, like the availability of health, or, you know, any variety of topics. Like if you want to look at, like, say the gender, you know, the variation in gender-based health outcomes, or you know, like racial, you know, ethnic-based health outcomes in different communities, that data is available in these data sets, right? And then you can then, but now you'll have access to them, so you can pull that data and then, you know, develop your own model, and then, you know, and then like, and then, you know, run your analysis that way.
Okay, got it. Thanks for that.
And it is pretty surprising how many data sets there are available up there that are, it's a lot easier to access them through this system than through their own native systems.
Oh, absolutely. And definitely super talk, Krishna. Thank you so much for your time and being able to present. And yeah, and sadly, I think that's all the time we have for questions. So for sake of time, we'll have to move on to the last agenda item, which Krishna kind of alluded to, which is we have, for the first time ever, a massive cohort for Google Summer of Code. So I'm very thrilled to kind of introduce some of our new contributors, as well as jump right into what is going on. So let me go ahead. I'm going to scale back the screen, share again. So yeah, so Google Summer of Code 2024, you may have remembered this from the past several months. We were talking about this. Well, decisions have come out. So just, I want to say very first and foremost, a huge congratulations and welcome to all of our new Google Summer of Code fellows. So this year we had a record of 5 fellows working on different projects throughout both the JuliaHealth and intersectional ecosystems within Julia. So it's super thrilling to have each and every single one of you here in the JuliaHealth community. Welcome both to JuliaHealth, as well as welcome to the Julia community. Super thrilled to have you. If you haven't had a chance to celebrate yet, you know, super glad that everyone was able to get their you know, applications and proposals in. You got that done. They got funded. So I hope you're able to celebrate a little bit. And I know just this week, you know, is when we kick off with the really the meat of what you'll be working on, which is the coding related to your Google Summer of Code proposals. So I also wanted to, you know, kind of wrap up the community bonding period, which, you know, hopefully you've been engaging with your mentors, and that's been a great experience and getting exposure to some resources. I also want to take this time to let you all also introduce yourselves to the JuliaHealth community. I will go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and actually, and I apologize for our contributors. Due to sake of time, we might only have like each one of you have like a minute or two to present just a little bit about yourself, like what's what's your name, what's your background, and what is the project that you're working on. So if you can do that all within a minute, that'd be fantastic. And we can go from there. So I'll stop sharing my screen, and whoever is a GSoC contributor, I'll let you go first. Maybe yeah, then I'll whoever speaks up first, you guys can go first.
Okay, perhaps I will go then. It seems like. Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Okay, hey guys. My name is Divyansh. You can call me Dev. I am from Delhi, India, pursuing my bachelor's in artificial intelligence and machine learning. And I've been involved in the JuliaHealth community since last year, I believe, where I met Jacob Mitura and started working around the project, which involves standardizing data from various medical imaging file formats. We had NIFTY and DICOM. That project actually is in the work right now, because eventually what we had planned that we are going to be parsing all of the C++ code from the most famous packages out there. We have ITK, simple ITK, but that deemed to be too complex. And now I'm simply building binaries and wrapping it in Julia so that I can basically continue with my actual GSoC project, which involves MedI3D, which is basically building and adding functionalities to medical imaging visualizations. It's a very good package. And yeah, that's the gist of my project under Google Summer of Code. And I look forward to meeting with you. Actually, I would like to mention, thanks, Anshul. I would like to give a shout out to Anshul, who helped me during the most pivotal moment, I would say, where I was very frustrated trying to get something done. And he definitely helped me out when I was lurking around in the help desk channels. So yeah, thanks for that, Anshul. And yeah, I would like to give out this opportunity to have other contributors introduce themselves as well.
Awesome. Welcome.
Hi,
Okay,
maybe I
so,
can go ahead.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I will just share my screen. I will be very quick. Can you just turn on the access for that?
Yes, let me give you that, Jay. Hold on. There you go. You should have it, Jay.
Yeah. Is it visible?
Yep.
Yeah. So, hello everyone there. Good morning, good evening, and good night to everyone in this meet. Myself, Jay Sanjay, and I hail from India, the land of diversity. So, namaste, pranam, adab, namaskar to everyone here. So, you might be thinking what just now I said. So, these are the various ways which we greet people in India in various countries. So, getting ahead, I am currently pursuing a bachelor's degree in computational engineering from IIT Hyderabad. Apart from that, I am trying to collaborate at IIT Hyderabad in the high performance computing lab, where I am currently trying to learn things like parallel and concurrent programming and collaborating with my colleagues. So, when it comes to high performance computing, Julia is the one. So, here I came to know about Julia from one of my professors who is currently using it for his numerical analysis, fluid body dynamics, etc. So, talking about my project is based upon developing tools for observational health research in Julia. To be specific, it covers like how actually patients' care evolve over time, what all treatments they carry forward, and with that we create a map of how a best suited path should be followed to cure a disease as fast as possible. For this, we are using the OMAP common data, and the repository we have set up is the OMAP CDM pathways.jl, which is currently present in the Julia Health ecosystem. We have started this repository from scratch, and we believe that we can have a very good time working on it. I would like to give a huge shout out to my mentor, Jacob Zelko, who and I are collaborating on this project, and also my co-mentor, Monica, who is helping me in this project. So about talking about me, I am a foodie. I love to travel. I love having spicy delicacies. So ending with that, I'm also leading the Asia Pacific meets for Julia Health. So for the folks who find it difficult to attend this meeting, which is more specific to American timings, they can also have a meet in the Asia Pacific timings, which are mostly in 4 a.m. UTC. And for that, I request if anyone wants to give a small talk into that, we will be glad to have you in that talk. If anyone is interested in it, you can Slack me. I'm always active on the Slack. That's all from my side. Thanks.
Woo! Thanks, Jay.
Okay, hi guys. I can continue presenting GSoC members. I'm one of them. Hi Dee, hi Jay. I'm from Poland, and I'm working with Jacob on the MedPipe, MedImage, and MedEverything libraries to create one pipeline for medical image segmentation. So I know about Julia actually from my professor that he showed me the Jacob's work in our university, and then he introduced me to Jacob. So that was my encounter with Julia language. And yeah, I think that's all. I'm something funny about me that I'm and adrenaline junkie. So I'm snowboarder. I'm doing everything that can give me adrenaline in my free time. So that's me.
Awesome. Well, and also just to clarify for everyone in the chat too, he's talking about Dr. Jacob Matura, not
yeah, me. Too many Jacobs in one meeting.
It's so confusing. We have so many J names. We have Jay, Jacob, another Jacob. So, no, awesome. Well, great to have you. Great to have you.
I can probably go next.
Sounds good. Go for it.
Yeah, so I'm Ryan. I'm a computer science student at University of Wisconsin-Madison. So my project is working on extending GPU support for a Julia MRI simulation package called comamri.jl. Yeah, so like an MRI simulation it lends itself like pretty well to like parallel computing, and currently the package supports CUDA, and then the GPU acceleration just works with using like array broadcasting. So my project is switching to using the kernel abstractions package so that first we can extend support to other GPU backends besides CUDA, so like Intel, Apple, and AMD, and then also writing like actual GPU kernels instead of just using like array broadcasting to hopefully have some more like fine-grained control over performance and hopefully get it to run even faster than it runs now. So yeah.
Awesome. Great to have you, Ryan.
Yeah, maybe I can go ahead. Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Oh, stupid mouse. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Michaela. I'm from Italy. And actually, I was a student like until a month ago in physics of complex systems, where I actually learned for the first time about Julia and programming with Julia. And my project is in collaboration with Jacob and Krishna about the developing of a new Julia package to manipulate the the Ipums dataset. So maybe, well, that's me, and I hope to collaborate better and well to this project. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you everyone so much for introducing yourselves, sharing a little bit about yourselves. And, you know, just again, a huge welcome to the JuliaHealth ecosystem community. And, you know, thank you everyone so much for being here. I'm super thrilled for each and every one of you to see how far you can progress with your proposals, what all you'll get done this summer. For the last couple of minutes of the meeting today, we might run over, just to let you know, everyone here by maybe about 2 or 3 minutes, because there was some things I want to discuss. I understand if people do have hard stops, so if you need to drop out, no worries, this meeting is recorded. I did just want to highlight some, you know, discussion about some advice about Google Summer of Code from a mentor perspective that might be useful for the Google Summer of Code students here, as well as just various resources and ways to get involved, both within JuliaHealth as well as the Julia community. So let me go ahead and share my screen again, and this can be kind of where we'll wrap up our meeting at, with this being the last topic of discussion. So I wanted to share some advice just from my side as a mentor who's been involved with Google Summer of Code for nearly about 4 years now. I'm also not only a mentor within the Google Summer of Code Julia organization, I'm also this year the Google Summer of Code co-administrator for the entire program across all of the Julia community. So what that means is not only, you know, am I helping with mentoring, I'm also helping with if there's any logistics or problems. So this is both for mentors and mentees. If anything comes up where you have a, you know, a question about Google Summer of Code from a logistical side, please let me know. But just some some advice as a mentor. Just 3 points that I really wanted to drive home about what I've seen make a really successful mentor and menteeship experience. Is the first point being communicate, communicate, communicate. This to me is probably the most central and core you know, tenet or focus that you should have throughout your project, wherein you should be communicating both from a mentorship side as well as mentee side, at least like, you know, maybe meetings once or twice a week, and then additional communication, maybe through email, through Slack, through Zulip perhaps. Be in communication with your students or with your fellows, and same goes for your mentees. Be in communication with your mentors. Anytime that you have problems or concerns, do not wait until the next meeting that you have. Make sure to be chatting with your mentor along the way. This will help make sure that not only is your proposal, your project successful, it also helps to make sure expectations are met and everyone comes out of this project, you know, not only with a successful experience, but also a fun and happy one. The next bullet point that I want to talk about is just to document your experiences as you go through this. As you're going through these projects, you're building up so much experience that not only is useful for your experience as becoming an open source contributor to the Julia ecosystem, this is also providing you in theory with very real experience that you can use to add to your resume, your CV, and communicate your expertise to future experts about your domain experience. I know for a fact that some of my previous Google Summer of Code students have gone on to get internships, fellowships, and things like that, which have come out as a result of working in this sort of program. So make sure to document your experiences, as not only will this help you with your career in the future, this will also help you with knowing exactly what you're working on and communicating your, you know, impactful project to the rest of the community. And then the last one is let your proposal be your guide. And this goes for both mentors and mentees. I picked this little GIF of the use the force Luke because you can kind of replace this with use the proposal because what this proposal is your scope of work. Stick to that scope of work. if you start going outside of this proposal, that is where I see projects start to either fail or have a hard time, because as you keep adding more outside the proposal to your project, that is very, it's not good. It'll lead to, expectations being confusing, and you should really just stick to your proposal, no matter how, large that project is that you're working on or how small that project is that you're working on. Everything else that you might want to do after this program with your mentor, make sure to record that. This could be something you could revisit in the future, or you could work on alongside outside of your Google Summer of Code experience. But the first #1 priority should be what you've dedicated in your proposal to work on. Those are the top 3 bullet points that I have here. And then next one is also really important that I know can be challenging for some folks here, both myself and just folks within the Julia ecosystem, is that I understand it is encouraged for us to say, it's encouraging to hear people say like, oh, ask for help. Then you might go to the Slack help desk channel and you see like, oh my gosh, there's almost 11,000 people in this channel, and if I post something, I don't want to look, dumb in front of 11,000 people. I know it can be scary. And for that purpose, I want to be very clear in saying we are here to help you. Like, everyone within the JuliaHealth ecosystem is here to help you, where if you have a concern, if you have a problem, feel free to reach out to anyone in the JuliaHealth community to say like, hey, I have this question. Can you maybe help me with it? Or, I'm a little nervous about asking. Does this sound all right? For sure, we can help you with getting over that hump, because you'll find that not only is the JuliaHealth ecosystem here to help you, the Julia community is very helpful as well. And so I just want to say, not only, this is a great place to ask for help, but you definitely belong and you're welcome here. And I just want to keep, reiterating that point over and over again to everyone, in the call right now. And yeah, so how you might get further involved in the future is, definitely be reaching out in the health and medicine Slack channel that we have. Feel free to look at the Julia Discourse Zulip in Julia Slack. And to get involved even more in the community, feel free to join the JSoC channel to hear about different JSoC events, and also the community channel for updates and events. So with that being said, those were the last points that I wanted to touch base on for our new Google Summer of Code contributors this year. It's super thrilled to have you all here. I know that we're currently at time, so we can go ahead and wrap up today's call. If anyone has any questions, please reach out over the JuliaHealth Slack. Thank you everyone so much for joining today. I'll be making notes available shortly. And yeah, and make sure to say hello to our Google Summer of Code students, fellows, if you haven't had a chance yet. And likewise, if you want to Google Summer of Code fellows, feel free to introduce yourselves in the Health and Medicine channel. So thank you everyone so much for joining. And I will see you all in the next call, hopefully around the Julia Slack too. Thank you everyone so much for joining today.
Yeah, bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks, Sonu.
Bye, to the next one.